Hello, my name is Greg Ayotte, and I'm the Director of Consumer Services for the Brain Injury Association of America. And I'm here today with Angela and Kellie, two members of the Brain Injury Association of America Advisory Council. I want to talk a little bit about what the Advisory Council is and what we're here to talk about today. So the council, it's made up of survivors that work together to meet the mission of the Brain Injury Association of America, and that they work together to increase awareness and understanding of brain injury. So they support and collaborate with each other to meet the mission in a variety of ways, from writing articles in our lovely newsletter, to making these videos, to working in their own backyards locally to support and try to help people with brain injury. So we're doing these videos as kind of an addition to the article that was written in the issue of the challenge about living life after brain injury. And today we're going to be talking about living with brain injury means learning how to manage symptoms. But first I want to have a chance for both Angela and Kellie just to introduce themselves, tell them a little about themselves. So we'll start with Angela.
Hey y'all, I'm Angela Leigh Tucker, and I sustained a TBI in July 2008. My husband and I were struck by an 18-wheeler and he was killed. We would have celebrated our first wedding anniversary while I was in a coma. When I woke up, like many of you, I had to relearn everything from the cradle on, how to walk, talk, read, and write. I've been on this hard but rewarding healing journey ever since.
Thank you. And Kellie?
I'm Kellie Pokrifka, and like many of you, my TBI was, quote, just a concussion. And here I am about a decade later, and I'm still living with debilitating symptoms every day of my life and still trying to figure out how to navigate this world post-TBI.
Well, thank you both for being here. And as I mentioned, we're here today to talk about the issue of living with brain injury means learning how to manage symptoms. So I'll start with Angela. So why is learning how to manage symptoms important for a person with a brain injury?
Well, I used to be able to multitask with the best of them. Now, after my TBI, distractibility is a major symptom for me. While living in Manhattan, I would try to use my phone while walking and very dangerously would wind up in oncoming traffic. After a few near misses, I recognized that I needed to stop. This was a very difficult habit to break and required practicing several different strategies, like turning off the ringer and keeping it in my purse. That's just one example.
Excellent, thank you. And Kellie?
Every single activity we do on a day-to-day basis has so many symptoms involved when you're living with a brain injury. And while all of our symptoms are completely individualized and unique, there's just so many. The situation we wrote about in the article was about going to a restaurant. Before, going to a restaurant, it was fun, it was exciting, it was so easy. It was one of the easiest things you could do. People were waiting on you, they were bringing you food. But living with a brain injury is quite different. There's sounds, there's light, there's cognitive stimulation, there's deciding on your order, there's even the ride there. There's just so many things that you would never have to think about until you were living with the constant symptoms. And that's just our forever world at this point.
Thank you. So this idea of kind of learning how to manage symptoms after an injury, how has that concept or idea helped you as a person with a brain injury in your recovery? We'll start with Kellie.
Yeah, so like I was saying, every activity requires so much. I have symptoms I know that are going to happen. I know I'm going to have, my chronic migraine. I know that's going to be occurring. I know that my motion sickness, to get there in the car is going to be there. But there's other symptoms that I'm not entirely sure about. They vary day to day. However, preparing before whatever activity I'm going to do can help me prepare, like not only for the ones that I'm expecting, but also what happens when, like the rarer symptoms come up. Like I don't want to be caught unprepared. So I always bring either a backpack or one of my giant purses. And in there is my entire toolkit. I have my vomit bags, I have any medications I need. I have my regular medications. I have my ones that I only take, on rare occasions. I have sunglasses, earphones,
That sounds like a chic tool bag.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are a little less cute than the other ones, depending on how big we're getting. But, yeah, and it's so much better to be prepared and not need something than, to be stuck out in a situation, be experiencing so many different brain injury symptoms and be completely overwhelmed to the point that you can't even make decisions at that point and you just don't know what to do. So always better to, be safe than sorry, for sure.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
And Angela, how about you?
After reading Kellie's tips, I realized that I was using many of these strategies in restaurants too, subconsciously, before I knew anything about strategies, because they were necessary in order for me to be comfortable. Learning how to manage my brain injury symptoms is kind of like a second job. Memory issues were also a challenge for me. For example, sometimes I forgot to turn off the stove. Once my super walked into my apartment and immediately noticed the strong smell of gas. So I started to learn to set alarms when I started cooking to remind myself there was something on the stove.
Wow, that's a really, obviously a very important strategy to learn how to master. So let me ask you as well. So what is one piece of advice that you'd give to another person with a brain injury kind of just starting out on their journey in relation to learning how to manage symptoms? We'll start with Angela this time.
Accept help, accommodations, and support whenever it's needed. I was very accomplished at the time of my injury and at the top of my professional game. So the new limitations were very difficult to accept. Yet I've always been someone who values feedback from others, and this became an extremely useful tool as I was learning how to live life as the new me. I began to rely on support from the therapists at NYU Langone, support groups, my prayer partner, and I have a great cognitive coach whom I still work with today.
Those are great suggestions and ideas. And Kellie?
I would have to say that I'm not diminishing any one of our symptoms because they're very real and they're very disabling. However, we're not the only person who has ever had to deal with that symptom. So I realize whether it's professionally, personally, look for help, seek answers, because other people have been in this problem before. Other people have forgot about the stovetop. Very easy. And if you look online, there's so many examples, either, typically it'd be either for elderly people or for the things I needed a lot of help with were actually written by school teachers. So it's typically like elementary school teachers, like, hey, how do I keep these kindergartners on topics? Obviously, you adjust them to whatever level you need, but there's so much good information out there. And so, either look online, say how do I, deal with time solving skills or time management? And whatever you're looking for, there's probably some really good resources. And some of them aren't going to help you at all. Some of them you're going to be like, yeah, this was useless. I don't need this. And then some of them will really help. And then you'll modify them. It's basically, a trial and error process. And ask for help. People near to us, they notice things that we don't even know that is going on. And like I was telling Angela before, a lot of this advice is unsolicited and it may be hard to hear, but
we're always open to.
Yes. But if we can take a minute, take a deep breath and eventually come to terms with the fact that this could really help and this could change your life, we'll find a way to do it. Yeah. So ask for help. People have been through it. You're an individual, but a lot of people are suffering in very similar ways. And there are solutions out there.
And if you've seen one brain injury, you've seen one brain injury. Everyone's so unique.
Definitely.
I think those are great suggestions. I really like the idea of you can find these ideas in so many different places. Like you said, it's not necessarily specific to brain injury, but other kind of areas where you're like the same issue, different reason, but the same issue. And so if you're able to kind of take the kernel of that helpfulness, right, and apply it to yourself, that could really kind of be a game changer for folks. So, well, I thank you guys both for taking the time to come and chat about this. I think it's really helpful information for folks. For folks that are viewing this, there are other videos that are also available. We encourage you to look at them. We encourage you to look at the...
There's some more videos coming out.
Stand by. And I encourage you to go check out the issue of the challenge. It's on our website. You can download it. You can read the article. If you ever have questions, you're always welcome to contact us at the Brain Injury Association of America. Well, guys, thank you guys both for coming today.
Take care, y'all.
We're so happy to be here, and nobody is alone. We've got your back.
Nobody's alone.